Welcome Palm Beach, Broward, Osceola, and other counties who may be joining us this afternoon as we kick off the No Limits on HSI events. I am Mr. Cook from Osceola County, and I want to thank you for being here with us. I'd like to jump right in and talk about what this whole event is about. We simply want to educate our community, our students, and our families that may be considering enrolling in a 4 or 2 year college or university, which is one of our 4 E's. There are so many different groups of schools that provide various types of support, such as what we addressed in our previous No Limits Fair, where we highlighted our SUS schools, our PCUFs, our state and technical college. The next couple of days, we want to highlight schools that provide support for our Hispanic community. What all does this event include? The main focus is to highlight the many wonderful HSIs here in our state. So starting today, right after this kickoff at 4 p.m., every half hour up to 7 p.m. this evening over the next 2 days, an HSI will be presenting on their school. To tune in, you can either scan the QR code that you see on your screen, or you can go to www.palmbeachschools.org/HSI. Again, either scan the QR code that you find on your screen or go to www.palmbeachschools.org/HSI and select the link of the school you would like to learn more about. As always, we encourage you to place any questions you may have in the Q&A located to the right of your screen, as well as take advantage of the closed caption that's available in the following languages: Arabic, English, French, Haitian Creole, Portuguese, and Spanish by selecting the CC logo at the bottom right of your screen. So if you feel more comfortable listening in your native tongue, those are the ones that we have for you. And for those of you that are hearing impaired, we have those other languages there for you as well. For this afternoon, I'll be sharing various aspects of the HSIs. There will be some trivia questions with prizes throughout this afternoon's program, so you want to be listening throughout and stick with us for those prizes. In order to be considered for the prizes, please select the link in the chat box or scan the QR code you will find on the slides and complete the form that it'll take you to. So we're not there yet, but when we do get there, you'll either want to hit the link in the chat or you want to scan the QR code on the screen. It'll be up for about a minute. We want to give you some time to answer the questions and to put all your information in there. So it'll be there for you. It's coming. So just stay with us. All right. We will be announcing the winners through next week's. We'll be announcing the winners this week through our social media platform. So whatever district that you're on or from, you'll want to make sure to check out their Instagram page, Facebook, or Twitter, because that's where we will be announcing those winners, and somebody from your district will be following up with you. So just want you to know that those things are coming. Now, I want to jump into, oh man, I want to jump into what this is, what an HSI is. So an HSI stands for a Hispanic Serving Institute. And in order to be considered an HSI, you need to either be a 2 or 4 year college or university. There needs to be at minimum 25% Hispanic enrollment. Another qualification for this is, in order for a school to be considered an HSI, they need to be a public or private 2 or 4 year higher education institute. The third qualification is they need to offer at least a 2 year academic program that will lend itself to a 4 year degree program. In addition to that, they must be an accredited college or institution as identified by the Department of Education. And then lastly, they need to have a high clip of students who are in need. So HSI stands for Hispanic Serving Institute. And the 5 qualifications you can see right there on the screen. Now, with that out the way, okay, so y'all had a chance right there to experience what the trivia questions will be like, what that whole process is. They gave you a minute to answer them. Should you need to continue to complete your form, that's okay. You can do that. Take your time. We're still going to be on here presenting, so it's not a big deal. But we have 3 more trivia questions that'll be scattered throughout the rest of tonight's or this afternoon's presentation. So stay with us, answer those questions, get yourself in the drawing to potentially be awarded some prizes. Now, a couple of things that came to me as I was letting that trivia question run from that first slide. Just a couple of things that I wanted to share with you. When an institution becomes recognized as an HSI, there is special funding they receive to enhance the student's academic experience, which may include special endowments, facility renovations, increasing classroom resources, tutoring programs, and counseling and student support services, just to name a few of the things that come from that. And the majority of these HSIs, interestingly enough, they're located in colleges and universities that are found in metropolitan areas. So with those areas tend to have an increasing Hispanic population, and some of these areas include Los Angeles, San Antonio, Chicago, Philadelphia, Detroit, and Miami. So all of my people down south, Miami has a significantly large Hispanic population. So this is typically where you'll find those HSI universities and such. Now, remember, those of you that answered the trivia question, you will be announced throughout this week via social media. So let's jump into how HSIs were established. I'm going to keep it real with you. The vast majority of HSIs were not created to serve a specific population, as historically Black colleges and universities and tribal colleges were, but rather evolved starting around 1970 due to their geographic proximity to Hispanic populations and demographic shifts. With the exceptions of Hostas Community College and the 4-year institutions of Boricua College and National Hispanic University, HSIs do not have charters or missions that address distinctive purposes and goals for Latinos like the HBCUs and tribal colleges do. However, the incredibly rapid growth of Hispanic serving colleges and universities since the 1970s has conferred on them to serve the Hispanic population, and they are recognized as such by Congress and the Higher Education Act. The designation of HSIs and the development of national awareness of HSIs is usually due to the Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities, otherwise known as HACU, which was founded in 1986. This organization worked to connect all of the colleges and universities serving high proportions of Hispanics, as well as partner with corporations, foundations, and federal government agencies to garner national recognition and secure funding and services for these institutions. As mentioned previously, these resources led to providing greater professional growth and development opportunities for Hispanic students, faculty, and administrators. You can find the HACU offices in San Antonio, Texas, and in Washington, D.C., where the focus being on educating policymakers and national leaders about Hispanic educational needs and the resulting economic and political implications for a more democratic and just society. The rise of HSIs has grown exponentially for three significant reasons, which you can see on the screen, but let's talk about it a little bit. First, the civil rights movement of the 1960s and college outreach efforts opened up educational opportunities to less traditional college-going populations, including Hispanics and others from diverse racial and ethnic backgrounds. This movement was accompanied by the development of federal and state financial aid that made it possible for more students to go to college. Second, Hispanic immigration to the United States has increased, especially in large urban areas and along the southwest border of the nation. So, you know, here in Florida, our Latino community has busted at the seams. It is a majority now. So this presence is why you'll find a good bit of HSIs here in the state of Florida. And lastly, Hispanics are continuing to move into communities where other Hispanics already are established and that are geographically near higher education institutions. So like when we talked earlier about being in those metropolitan areas, right? This is where that comes into place. You're moving out to where there is a significantly larger Hispanic population, and then with the rise of the Hispanic communities here on in the southwest borders, and then here in Florida, there's going to be more HSIs. So I wanted to talk to you just, you know, a little bit about how it was established. Now, with that being said, let's jump into our second trivia question. So I'm about to put this up on the screen. Take your time. Let's see if you can answer this. Hope you were listening because you're going to need it to be able to answer this question. Are we ready? Oh, no, I got more. Bet. Did you know that there are 539? There's actually a little bit more, a little more than 539 Hispanic serving institutions, and 68% of those are public institutions. Now, why that's important? Well, here in the state of Florida, we are actually one of the least expensive states to seek post-secondary education. On average, we're around $6,300 for tuition. So if you're somebody that's considering enrolling in a 4-year, which is around that $6,300, and then our 2-year colleges are half of that cost, then this becomes significant for you because well over 2/3 of those public institutions that are very affordable for us, they are recognized as a Hispanic serving institution. So all of my brothers and sisters in the Latino community, this means you'll have a really great chance of these schools having that funding where they're helping to support students of your background and having a diverse faculty that can meet your needs and creating the facilities and such where you can have the best learning environment and receive the best type of education. And these Hispanic serving institutions, as of right now, although we have 50 states, they're only found in about 12 states. Again, that goes back to that southwest border. So we're thinking like Cali on down to Texas, and then reaching over here to Florida. You can find them kind of scattered out around there. And then those metropolitan areas that we talked about in the Midwest, Chicago, up closer towards the Northeast, Washington, D.C. So if you're considering where you would like to go for HSI, no, here in Florida, we have a good bit, but it does stretch outside of the state of Florida. And did you know that Miami-Dade Community College is the largest HSI in the nation? And that's right here in our backyard. Actually, one of the largest community colleges. But when you're considering enrolling into a 2-year college, we have Miami-Dade right here in our backyard. So that becomes extremely significant. And then looking at the numbers, past and present, or present and future, 2/3 of all Hispanics enrolled at an HSI. So that means you feel most comfortable with a school that looks like you, professors that look like you. So we're finding that our Latino community, instead of just going to a university or a college that may not have your representation, 2 out of every 3 Latinos are jumping into schools that are considered an HSI. There are 352 schools right now. We talked about those 5 qualifications earlier on. There's 352 schools right now that are emerging as potential HSI. So when we talk about the growth and expansions of institutions for our Latino community across our nation, that is almost doubles, close to doubling what already exists. So this is important for representation and important to having schools that are diverse in nature, especially as it relates to the Latino community. So I thought that was a really cool fact that I wanted to share with you as well. Now, I think with that, we're about to jump into our next question. Trivia question number 2. Are we ready? See if I got this one right. Okay, I hope y'all was paying attention. That one should have been easy, especially if you're tuned in and you're from the state of Florida. I can't give the questions away because they're still live. Y'all in there answering stuff, so we're gonna let that ride, but hopefully you get that one right. And remember, stay tuned throughout this week on social media for the announcements of our winners. And I would like to take a moment right now and highlight some of the accomplishments of HSIs, because they're doing some really great things in the community. So the college degrees awarded to Hispanics in HSIs and non-HSIs are remarkable. In 1997, Hispanics earned approximately 46% of all associate degrees awarded in the HSIs, compared to 7.5% in non-HSIs. They received 23% of all bachelor's degrees awarded at HSIs, compared to 5% in non-HSIs, and almost 20% of all master's degrees, compared to 3% in non-HSIs. 4% of all first professional degrees, which is about equivalent to the 4% in non-HSIs, and 6% of all doctors, compared to 3% in non-HSIs. So these data points offer evidence that Hispanic Serving Institutions are directly responsible for increasing the educational attainment of Hispanics. Like when you think about just that first one, 46% of all associate degrees came from an HSI versus 7% from a non-HSI. So our Hispanic Serving Institutions are really meeting the needs of our Latino community. Wanted to point that out. I think that's awesome. It's one thing to have a school to try to meet the need. It's another thing for them to show out, which I think our HSIs are showing out. And data suggests that our Hispanic Serving Institutions may also be credited as producers of the highest number of Hispanics who go on to pursue advanced degrees. 2-year HSIs lead the way in producing the highest number of Hispanic transfer students and associate degree recipients. Research studies further reveal that 4-year Hispanic Serving Institutions with high Hispanic baccalaureate graduation rates point directly back to community college Hispanic Serving Institutions as a source of a significant number of their transfer students. These studies also show that 4-year Hispanic Serving Institutions are the highest producers of professional and graduate Hispanic students. So We have a large number of our Latino community attending our 2-year HSIs, Miami-Dade being one of them, and they're moving on from there to produce a high number of them are moving on to pursue bachelor's degrees and advanced degrees such as master's and doctorates. So really great thing to know that our HSIs are supporting our Latino students. HSIs are a major contributor to the economic prosperity of the nation's engines of economic mobility. For example, in 2018, Opportunity Insights published data ranking institutions of higher education on their graduates' economic mobility. 7 of the leading 10 institutions are HSIs, including the top one being Cal State University. So the fact that we have 70% of the highest performing in the realm of economic mobility being HSIs, I mean, that speaks volumes to the quality of education that you're getting at our HSIs. So who even knew that was around, right? Those are some of the great statistics on success HSIs are providing the Hispanic community. We're about halfway done. Just wanted to give y'all a brief overview, right? So now we're going to move on to our third trivia question. And let me read it to you so you kind of get your mind right before I give you a minute countdown. In order to be considered as one of our winners, please select the link in the chat box or scan the QR code on the screen like we've been doing throughout and complete the form that comes up for you. So here's our question. Question number 3. How many HSIs are on the top 10 list for graduates having high economic mobility? Ready? Moving on. Question. Okay, halfway down, 3 questions in. Remember, the winner will be announced via social media, so stay tuned this week in your district's social media platforms. You want to make sure to be checking in on that. And again, somebody will be reaching out to you as well. But let's spend some time identifying some differences as you consider an HSI. Selecting a college in which to enroll is a very personal choice, and HSIs offer a valuable option for minority and non-minority students alike. This is not just for our Latinos, this is for non-minority students as well. And some of those factors that make Hispanic Serving Institutions attractive include graduation rates. As I previously mentioned, students at Hispanic Serving Institutions enjoy high graduation rates. The statistics back up the benefit of HSIs. The graduation rate of full-time students at Hispanic Serving Institution exceeds the federal rate across both public and private 4-year schools, as well as the 2-year public colleges. A higher graduation rate translates into more of the individuals with a degree that can move them into a higher paying job, thus encouraging a better life for those who worked hard for that degree. The impact of that higher wage not only serves the person who earns it, but helps their families and communities as well. Secondly, the percentage of Latin student enrollment. This number will be at least 25%, but a higher percentage can reinforce a school's strong commitment to diversity. And the higher this enrollment, the more likely the school will have robust services and programs specifically tailored to its Hispanic student population. And thirdly, enhanced student experience. When an institution is recognized as an HSI, there is money that is given to specifically enhance the student experience. Many Hispanic serving institutions have programs that promote migration retention, skills development, support services, and programs that promote STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. These are in addition to what I mentioned earlier on in the program. Now, there are so many important factors unique to HSIs. We just covered 3, but it's important for prospective students to consider. I encourage you to make your decision carefully as you think about where you want to go, HSI, non-HSI, in-state, out-of-state, but take your time. And these are some of the factors that I think would benefit you as you consider that. Now, for our last trivia question of the hour, here it is. What are the factors you should take into consideration if you are thinking of attending an HSI? As you heard throughout tonight's presentation, check into your district's social media to find out the winners for our trivia questions. Those of you who won, someone from your county will be reaching out to you to get you your prize. Thank you all for joining us this afternoon. Make sure to head over to palmbeachschools.org/HSI or scan the QR code on your screen to tune into our first college of this afternoon, this evening, whichever you prefer, Florida International University. Again, this is Mr. Cook in Osceola County. I'll be signing off for tonight. Enjoy the presentations. Enjoy your evening. Thank you so much for being on with us this evening.